Yes, I think we have to be willing to pivot. Yeah. And even now, even though I'm inside this, and I know this is what I'm dedicated towards, and I'm writing a book about my process right now as well. Oh. But I was just teaching some workshops out on the West Coast last week. And someone said, this is so much more than just getting comfortable on video or in front of the crowd. And I said, well, tell me what you're experiencing. And why I was doing that is because I know that what I'm doing now is I'm really invested in and involved in, and I want to explore more fully. Mm-hmm. However, at some point, it's going to pivot again. Yeah. And it's because, and I think what she said was the reason why, because it's more than just this. I want to stay narrowly focused for the time being, but I do know at some point this is going to open out.
Yes. So you said earlier that you do a lot of work with people who want to speak confidently in the boardroom and on stage and on video. So that's, those are quite different arenas, aren't they? Or do you work one-to-one, or do you do workshops for multiple people, or what way does it work?
I do both. Mm-hmm. And I work both online and in person. Mm-hmm. And so what I would say to that is, yes, there are different elements to different situations. So for instance, like let's say video and in person, those are the broadest differences. So on video, you've got one lens there. So it's kind of like one pair of eyes. When you're with a group of people, you've got multiple people looking there. So you have multiple people to look at or to feel connected with. Mm-hmm. So and you've got a different sense of space. There's a different spatial awareness. So when you're on camera, you're more stationary. You can be moving, but you're more stationary. Mm-hmm. When you're on a stage, you may want to be using the stage, unless you're doing a TED Talk when you're confined to a dot. Mm-hmm. But even on that dot, there is some movement that can happen and different directions that you can be facing. So there are those kinds of things. The purpose of, let's say, a pitch or a meeting or networking may be different, but the big element that is the same for each of those is how you are feeling. Mm-hmm. And what I've discovered is that the composition of that fear is the same across the board. Mm-hmm. And the clearing of it results in the same thing of being able to be present. Yes. Rather than managing your fear, which takes up a lot of mental and physical energy. Mm-hmm. It takes away awareness that you want to have to be, on what you're talking about and connecting with the person and listening. It's hard to be present when you are managing emotions or managing your thoughts in your head or managing feelings.
I think that's why if you go into an event where you might be speaking and it's all the adrenaline gets you on the stage and you talk, and then afterwards you're exhausted.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. And that can happen with somebody who also isn't afraid. I've spoken to a number of seasoned speakers who say, well, they might have a few butterflies, but nothing that is, uncomfortable. They don't mind it at all. It's not like it, once they're out on stage, they're fine, but they do get exhausted. But I find that is it's a related, but it's a missing piece of the possible experience of speaking, which is that you can be nourished and fueled by the experience, by the people who are watching or the imagined people who are watching. Mm-hmm. So there's a way of learning to receive energy and receive, I like the word nourishment because it's like when you breathe in air, that's kind of a nourishment. Yeah. And just like we breathe in air, we can kind of breathe in positive regard. We can breathe in safety. We can breathe in,
This episode is brought to you by the Social Bee Academy, your online learning space to market and grow your business. With monthly training, live group coaching calls, a thriving community and resource library. If you're looking for learning, focus and accountability, the Social Bee Academy is for you. come and check it out at www.louisebrogan.com.
Unconditional friendliness.
Yeah.
And most audiences, like if you were speaking at a conference, are that way. They really want a good experience. So they have a sense of happy expectation.
Yes. I
spoke
at an event in Belfast about a month ago, and it was to a group of women entrepreneurs, and I enjoyed it so much. And it was the positive feedback afterwards, even from the host and everything. It left me on such a high, and that's exactly what you're talking about. That's the feeling that I had. I got nourishment from the reception that I received.
That's wonderful. Yeah. And so what I would say to you is, now that you know it's there on the end, which is wonderful, enjoy that from the beginning.
Yes.
So if you can tap into that feeling, bring that feeling with you on stage, like assume it. And then you can have that almost like a peak experience, because you said yours had such a high. Yeah, this is the high on speaking.
Oh, totally.
It's an exhilaration that's so wonderful, but you don't have to wait to the end to have that expectation. You can have it from the beginning. Yes. And just really enjoy the whole process from the beginning.
Which will give you even more energy, really, wouldn't it, in your talk?
Absolutely. You can have it even before you get on stage. You can have it thinking about the event.
Oh, brilliant. Linda, what gets you out of bed?
I find this process of being an entrepreneur endlessly interesting. And, even though I may lament my 3-page to-do list, there are things on it that I just can't wait to do.
Yes.
I really, and even the things that are challenging, I find that challenge interesting. So, for instance, I'm writing a book right now, and there are days that I don't open up my document, and I'm resisting it. But I'm looking at that and saying, well, that's kind of interesting. Like on my to-do list today, I said, what would it take for me to want to write? So I'm just going to contemplate that. So whenever I meet a resistance, I let that be a point of curiosity. And that gets me up in the morning, because that makes life interesting to me. It's like, well, there are the things that I really want to do. And then, okay, what are these things that I don't? And does that mean I shouldn't do it, or I need help, or, what does that mean to me? So I like that whole process. I really do. And I also find it incredibly, once you find something that people are looking for, it's very fulfilling and very satisfying. So that also drives me.
Yes. I think, like you, when you work with people and you get to, if you deliver a workshop or work one-to-one with somebody, and you're able to, as you say, to transform them by doing that work with them, it's so rewarding.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I love that too. What's been have you done a TED Talk, Linda?
I have not. I have started working on a TED Talk, and then I put it aside because at the same time I was writing a signature talk. And I thought they're related, but I can't focus on two things at once.
No.
And I decided I'm going to put the TED Talk to the side. However, I've been on a TED stage as a host MC.
Oh.
And I got to do that in a city in Hungary last December.
Wow.
And that was really enjoyable. And it was good for me. It felt like it was a big deal for me to be on the TED stage. Yeah. And I felt honored to be the host MC. And I didn't have to spend the time memorizing a talk when I was really busy doing other things. So I do some storytelling, which I got into a year ago. Uh-huh. And those are 5 to 8 minutes long. And it does take a lot of work. And I think once I realized, wow, you have to devote a good chunk of time to this.
Yes.
I decided, of course I'm going to do a TED Talk, but it doesn't have to be this year.
No. What's the title of your signature talk?
I don't know what the title is. I'm playing around with things, but it's about how to overcome the fear of public speaking. It's very bland, but...
I think you would get booked a lot for that. I'm pretty sure you would.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just realizing it said on you have like a really cool part on your website. It says like 10 things. Is it 10 things you don't know about me or something? And you're fluent in Hungarian. Is that why so have you got Hungarian?
I'm not quite fluent. I can't say I'm fluent, but I'm conversational. Yes. Yes.
So do you have family roots in Hungary?
Yes, through marriage. My husband is Hungarian, and I've been going there since 1986.
I have never been.
It's a beautiful place. It's changed a lot since then. At that time, it was still under the Eastern Bloc, and now it's a European city.
Yes, I was in Moscow and what is now Kiev, but Leningrad when I went in 1987, which is the year before the fall of the whole Iron Curtain. So I remember it, and I've never been back to Eastern Europe since, but I'm going to Poland this summer, so I'm really excited about that.
Oh, that'll be beautiful.
Yeah, that'll be amazing. Yeah. My mum and I are going for 5 days.
I think you'll love it. Yeah. I've only been to one part, the very closest part to Hungary. I went there, I don't know, 10 years ago with the Hungarian part of the family, and it was beautiful, just beautiful. It was like this town that we went to, I can't remember the name, but it was like being in a children's storybook.
Yes, I can imagine.
And it's like, oh, that's why the pictures looked like it.
Yes, I can imagine. I can't wait. It's going to be brilliant.
It wasn't someone's imagination. This is what it looked like.
It's what their streets looked like when they drew the pictures. Yeah.
Yes.
What do you think has been the biggest challenge you've had so far in business, Linda?
I think it's focus. I would say two things. One is focus. I find because I have such a curious mind, I tend to want to try everything out. And that divides my energy and my attention. So I'm always working on too many things at once.
Me too.
And then I don't feel like I'm making the kind of headway that I know I would make if I just focused on one or two of those things. And I can't really put myself down on it. I mean, it's my personality. I am making forward motion without a doubt. And I celebrate every step along the way. But it is challenging, and it does get frustrating at times.
Oh, we are cut from the same cloth. Definitely. Oh my goodness.
Well, you're called the social bee, right?
Yes, buzzing all over the place. Yes. Talking about social, that's a good segue. How do you use social media in your business, Linda?
Well, up to this point, I was on Periscope for a while. Yes. Actually, I just wanted to say that after that 75, I went on to do 200 more.
Wow. So impressed.
Yeah. And then I switched over to Facebook, but it took me a while to really engage. And now I started a Monday show at noon Eastern time, my time. That's called Speaker, Body, Mind, Spirit. And I talk about, anything to do with speaking. What's your page called?
Is it your name?
It's Linda Ugelow Biz.
Because we want to go and check that out, that show.
Yeah, great. Yeah. Great. Yeah, it's really fun. So I have that show now. I do use Facebook ads when I've done 5-day challenges that are actually my beta courses. I've used Facebook ads to bring people into that. And I also run Facebook ads just for video views for people to get to, encounter me and some of my ideas. So I'll run Facebook ads either on a Facebook Live that I did, or I'll upload a video and run an ad on that. Or for a webinar or something like that, I'll do that. And then engaging on Facebook, in various ways. I have a Facebook group called Inspired Speakers, and I've run some of my free challenges have gone on inside that group. Yeah. And then for a while, I was really enjoying Instagram. And then I got very busy, and I thought, I can't keep up.
Yeah, it takes a lot of effort, doesn't it, Instagram?
It does. It does. And I love the media. I love quotes and inspirational quotes. I just love reading a few words that make me feel different after I read them. I find that particularly lovely. And I do also like beautiful photographs, and I like leaving comments. Yeah. I never